Good afternoon.
You picked a super busy day, but I'll make time for the Teamsters. So
Thank you so much. I know I worked with Anne, and she's gonna have a committee meeting right at 1 o'clock, and I was like, oh, can we please get the chair to talk to us? And she's like, okay, she'll do it for the Teamsters.
yes, yeah, I've got a really good vice chair, Kelly Moeller, and so she'll get committees started. But yeah, we've got a big day. We've got the cannabis bill and some police accountability stuff. So, yep.
Excellent. So I'm just gonna go ahead and introduce you. Everybody should know who I am. I am Gus, the Communications and Legislative Director for Teamsters Local 320. I am very happy to introduce Representative Jamie Becker Finn, who's also the chair of the House Judiciary Committee, who oversees the public defender's budget, and for our folks who are state court reporters, also oversees the MJB budget. And the one thing I want everyone to know is that Representative Becker Finn is a union attorney. She's in a bargaining unit for a union in Hennepin County, so she bargains on behalf of her own colleagues at Hennepin County, and she understands the importance of having a union and being part of a union. And I just want to turn it over to you now, Representative, so you can talk a little bit, and then we have a couple of questions for you too.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, just really glad that I could fit this in today, and that there's this many people that are engaged with the work we're doing at the legislature. As Gus said, I've been an AFSCME union member for a long time. Grew up in a union family as well, and really those values are my values. And as far as supporting the work that all you do, I do want to thank all of you for all the work you do for our communities in various different ways. And I have a cousin who is a Teamster public defender in the 9th Judicial District, and so he's been a public defender for many years, and have been long before I was Judiciary Chair, have been, hearing about the struggles and the challenges of his job, but also all the good work that he does, and that, his colleagues and other public defenders. So that's my close connection to Teamsters, is through the public defenders. And again, just want to thank all of you for your service. And it's been a top priority of mine as Judiciary Chair to make sure that we are increasing our funding to public defenders and court staff, as well as civil legal aid. That's been really my top priority. It's I don't, for a very long time, I think that line in the budget has been treated like other lines in the budget. And when someone has a constitutional right to an attorney, I take that really seriously, and have been pushing the speaker hard to, make sure I get my budget. I would have really loved for my budget number to be bigger. For the record, I asked, when I asked you guys for what it would take to fully, when I asked the Board of Public Defense, initially I'd asked them to come to committee with the number. What would it actually take to fully fund our public defenders so that they have the caseloads that actually allow them to do their best work? And they didn't originally bring me those numbers, but I pushed them to get those numbers, and that was my ask. It was 3 times what anybody's ever asked for before, but that's how far behind we are on that. So I take that really seriously, and just really appreciate all you appreciate workers. And that's what I prioritize within my budget, is equity and workers, and making sure we're doing right by actual people. So that's real quick what I've been working on, and happy to take any questions before I have to run to go run my committee.
Yeah, so real quick, Scott Noakes, would you like to ask Chair Becker Finn a question, please?
I would. Thank you, Gus. And Madam Chair, again, my name is Scott Noakes. I'm a part-time public defender out here in McLeod County. I've been involved with public defense since 2000 and 2008. Been a long time now. I'm retired from the U.S. Coast Guard, and it's been a pleasure to serve. It's been the most difficult job I've had. But I think one of the things that that part-timers like me that want to point out from time to time is that we're running a law office first, and then we're also public defenders on the side, and sometimes that is missed in the process. We're running a business, and we have staff to pay, and then some things come to our attention. For example, like in the up north, there's been some difficulty getting public defenders to be public defenders, and the Board of Public Defense has given some enormous salaries to these people that way far exceed the salary schedule for public defenders that come on the salary schedule to take those jobs. And it seems unfair from a perspective of someone that's on the payroll to see someone that's getting paid 2.5 times what a starting person would get paid just right off the bat. And another issue that comes up from a perspective of part-timers is that full-time offices like over in Chaska or in the First District or down in Hastings have staff, paralegals, investigators, secretaries, on and on, to do the day-to-day work that needs to be done. But part-timers have to hire our own staff and pay them out of our own pockets. And my legal assistant, Tara, she does a great job, but she spends about 75% of her time on public defense, which I pay for, which really comes out of my salary for public defense. And that seems a little unfair that I'm paying my own salary to subsidize the system. And Brian and Gus and I have talked a lot about that, and that's one of the reasons why they kind of recruited me to be on as a union steward to advocate for the part-time folks. And I wanted to bring those issues to your attention. So it's not always just about, how much money is getting funded, but kind of where the money goes and what it's used for. And from our perspective, we'd like to see a little bit of direction, perhaps from the top, like yourself, ma'am, about how that money should be spent and how it should be distributed equitably within the system. But it's a pleasure to be a public defender. It's an honor, and to serve the clients that we do. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. But I appreciate your willingness to meet with us today. Thank you.
Yeah, I thank you for your comments. I know, it's I was named chair right at the beginning of session, and one thing that I will touch on is this is why the relationship with your leadership and with all of you is really important to me, because I recognize that the head honchos at the Board of Public Defense don't always speak directly for you. And so, I'm very aware of that. And, that's like one of the reasons that I made this meeting a priority, is because I need to hear that stuff. Cause I don't hear, the people get the bucket of money, the courts are the same way. They would rather just be given all the money and let them figure out how they want to do it. But it's super helpful to have that feedback so that we can make sure that, we are being fair in what we're doing, because, it certainly isn't the intention to sort of leave out folks like you, but it's really important to hear that directly from you. So thank you.
Yeah. And about, 40% of the staff of public defense are part-time. And, the part-timers exist because there's a need to have attorneys to take cases, in particular, there are conflict cases that can't be taken by the full-time staff. So, there's a reason why we exist, and I think overall the part-time staff do a fantastic job with bringing the experience to the table that sometimes is missing from some of the people that have a more higher turnover rate. In some ways, with full-timers, not always for sure, but part-time people tend to stay around a little bit longer, from my perspective. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Andrea Anderson from the 4th District. Would you like to ask a question, please?
Yes. Hi, my name is Andrea Anderson, and I'm a legal office assistant in the 4th Judicial District. I've been with the Board of Public Defense now for 8 years. Madam Chair, thank you for supporting public defense employees and fully funding the state public defender budget. Unfortunately, the Senate only funds 2/3 of the budget requests. What can we do between now and the end of session to ensure public defense is fully funded? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Good question. So, I mean, I can I can tell you that this will be one of my top priorities going in to conference committee. But always the most powerful thing is for senators to hear from actual people and hear from their constituents. And so, I try to remind folks too. It might be that a different relative lives in that person's district, and you ask them to send that letter, make that phone call for you, because ultimately what we all as elected officials care about the most are the people who elect us. And so, I think continuing to keep that pressure up, social media can be helpful too. I know certainly the press pay attention, if there's kind of a constant drumbeat of holding people accountable and asking them to lift that up. I think, the other thing is it's the thing that I talk about all the time. And when I first came into office, Representative Jean Wagenius, who'd been around a very long time, she told me, you're going to have to say things 100 times before anybody is going to hear you. And so I think I'm probably at about 45 times of pointing out that this is one of the only things in our budget that is constitutionally required that we fund. So I think, making that point, and the more people that make that point, that, all these other things are great. And yes, we need to fund all these other things too. But ultimately, if we care about our Constitution, then this should be rising to one of those very top things that we're funding. And I think obviously the support staff for the attorneys themselves are incredibly important. Actually, I had to file something on my own related to my campaign this last year, and I had to figure out how to draft a complaint without anybody's help. And thank God I used to be a judicial clerk, or I would have really, really been in trouble. But I really had to dig deep to even figure out how to do everything. So definitely really appreciate the work of our support staff in allowing everyone to be as efficient as they can be with the time that they have. And I've got like 3 more minutes, and then I got to jump over to my committee.
Absolutely. We got just one more question for you, Madam Chair. Kyle Macarthur from the 5th District would like to ask the final question.
Hi, Madam Chair. I'm Kyle Macarthur. I'm an investigator in the 5th. I work primarily in Mankato and in Fairmont. I've been here since 2007. I want to thank you for your support, and I want to thank you for the language in the omnibus bill, putting more money into public defense than we asked for. That has been a goal of ours for a long time, and finally we have someone to help carry that baton for us. In the past, we've been concerned with the language that separates the appropriations for public defense between the salaries and money set aside for appropriated for new attorneys. Teamsters want higher salaries, and we want new hires, but we also want to negotiate that at the bargaining table. Basically, what can we do to support you during these negotiations to make sure that the final language remains intact?
Yeah, I think, as long as we're staying, I'm staying connected with Gus and, your other leadership, that's going to be important. There may be times when, I may need some help with information, or as I'm sort of, I'm the kind of person that actually likes to know what I'm talking about instead of just reading something that staff hand me. So, and you guys have been really helpful, especially as like I said, pushing Bill Ward and pushing others to I know people don't usually ask you to ask for more money, but I can't make the case for how important it is if you don't tell me what it's going to take to get us to where we need to be. And so, those things are all super important. So there may be times that I may need to call on folks to get, sort of the data to back up what I'm fighting for. And all that can be super helpful. So, and I'm sorry I have to go, but I'm so glad that we were able to fit this in, and that I have a good vice chair that could handle my committee for a couple minutes. Thank you all for being on Zoom. And, this is, I also just want to recognize that this is a really hard week for a lot of people in our community with what happened, with losing Dante Wright and everything else that's gone on. And I know, especially for those of us who work in the justice system, that a lot of that weighing really heavy on us and the people that we serve. And so I want to recognize that. And, you know, everybody should give themselves a little grace this week to take care of themselves and do what they need to do. So thank you so much for the invite. Always happy to talk with you guys, and we'll be happy to fit in other meetings despite how busy I am in the future.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.